Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we are doing a big meta analysis. So over the last month we've been having a ton of BCSs. A lot of people have been qualifying for the World Championship of Vanguard, and I just wanted to go over all of those right now. The only one I'm skipping is the very first one in Houston, because that one had certain sets not live, and so it's completely different meta-wise. But everything else is pretty much the same meta, and so let's go over that. So first of all, we had Georgia or Duluth for standard. We have 2 Tegria, 1 Kyrie, 1 Gravidia, 1 Nirvana, 1 Flagberg, 1 Bav, 1 Loro. Overall, all pretty solid decks, at least tier 2 and higher, so that's pretty cool to see. Not, what you would completely expect, and I think you'll notice as the BCSs progress, you'll start seeing certain trends get a fair bit stronger, because this overall is still not, the best decks taking most spots here. And I think later on you'll see it happens a bit more and more. But still, nice. We'll see who got first place and so forth very soon here. Then for V Premium, we had 2 Dark Irregular, 2 Gear Chronicle, 2 Narukami, 1 Royal, 1 Great Nature. This was actually very early in the season. This was like September 4th, 5th or something like that. And so this is before people started catching on what the real best deck in V is. As you can see, this is still, quite quite diverse, and we will see that change very soon. However, this event was won by Steam Maiden, which will set a trend for the rest of the season. So as you can see right here, the V top 4, we have Antonio, a really good player by the way, getting first place with Steam Maiden. We have another Steam Maiden in second, a Leopold in third. I really like me some Leopold. And fourth, Vanquisher. I really like how Vanquisher is still able to take names and kick butts and so forth, despite not having, any relevant support in so long. It's just a really strong deck with a lot of attacks and a lot of draw power as well. And then for the standard top 4, of course, we have the 2 Tegria getting first and second. That's a really strong showing for Tegria. And then a Gravidia in third and a Kyrie in fourth. So really interestingly, I would honestly think Gravidia and Kyrie are better decks, so them taking like first and second, but they didn't. Very interesting. And then for Premium, we have the top 8 right here. This was a really weird one to me. We, of course, with the team and so forth, we're always testing really hardcore to try and get that Worlds invite in our own BCSs, and this was the first Premium BCS that we had results-wise with the new cards, with the Ripple and all of that good stuff from that set. And so we were expecting, of course, we're going to see MFD, we're going to see Narukami, we're going to see Ripples, and instead we got this. So we got a 2 Gear Chronicle, of course, MFD, solid deck, a high rolly deck, can sometimes brick like no other, but really strong contender. Obviously, like if people had to pick what are the best decks in Premium, they would pick MFD and they would pick Ripple. And then you could argue which of those two is actually better. Okay, sure. So 2 MFD, cool. But then 2 Dark Irregulars. This one I disagree with a lot. I know the 2 players who were playing this are Franz and Nico. So they played this well. Awesome. Franz also has a number of tops now. Nico also has a couple. So really solid. But I disagreed so hard with this pick. But okay. 2 Dark Irregulars, 2 Narukami, 1 Vanquisher, 1 Arads, and then 1 Spike and 1 Link Joker. I think Link Joker was a Heart Ali. Very known for always picking Link Joker. So really cool to see that as well. But overall, just if you look at this result, you're like, what is going on? This was not what was to be expected from this meta, let's say. And then when we go to the top 4, so first place ended up being the Eradicator by Andrew Kondrick, also a known player, usually plays Luard. Second place was Vanquisher, so we saw those Narukamis basically go to the top. And then third place, Peter on MFD, so qualified Worlds that way, very cool. And then Nico fourth with NLK. So then we got the announcement for the ban list, but it's not active yet. So basically now we still had all the BCSs without this ban list in effect. That's basically the meta. And then after this video, we're going to start seeing the new meta as far as I'm aware. So then we get to Germany. And to add some context, the venue for Germany was incredibly hard to reach. What does this mean? It means that the only people who went there were either German and could reach it easily, or were hardcore tryhards. No offense to anyone, I'm part of the group there. But if you were going to Germany as a European, like not from Germany, it was impossible. Like if I had to take a train there, it was like 5 swaps, so like 5 layovers, let's say, then 6 hours, and it would have been awful. Luckily, Dylan and his mom drove us. Crazy stuff. My life was safe there. But so reaching Germany was so hard. So first of all, the event wasn't huge, but then almost everyone in that room was a tryhard, a really competitive player who tries to attend every single event, tops a shit ton of events like BRO and in real life. And so the result of that, as you can see, is the top 8 here in V Premium. We saw 60 Maiden in top 8. As you saw previously with BCS Georgia, everything was still cool, diverse, fun, you know, there's a couple decks that are good. And then Germany was like, nah, we're all gonna try hard here. We're gonna be the complete meta host. And yeah, that's the result. 60 Maiden in top 8, then 1 Aqua Force and 1 brave Granblue. I ended up also getting top in this one. I got 4th in this one, which hurts a lot because that way I missed the World's invite in this one. Yikes, very sad, but okay. So 60 Maiden. Yeah, Germany was wild. Germany was try-hard city. Then for standard, for Germany, we have 2 Gravidia, 2 Nirvana, 1 Bruce, 1 Bav, 1 Orphist, 1 Greedon. So the Orphist and Greedon, okay, those are a little bit more off-meta picks, I want to say, but the Grav and the Nirvana are definitely really big, and so it makes sense that they ended up doing well as well. So then we can see the top 4 here for Germany. As you can see, first place Dave, second place the Beatrice, yeah, third place Maxim, and then fourth place also Maxim. I'm that fourth place right there. Very sad. Then for Germany, top 4 standard, we had Gravidia first, we had Philip from Top Deck Heroes second with Bruce, yeah. Third is Gravidia, and then fourth is JJ, Mr. Rogers with Orphist. JJ, very good player. And of course, we both got basically fourth on the same day, so we were fourth place gang, which is an awful gang to be a part of. Of course, like jokingly, it's still good to like top consistently. It's a solid achievement, but of course, when you know you're like 1 win away from Worlds twice in a row, it stings. So I hope JJ can still make it in, but this event at least wasn't it. Now that same weekend, we also had Chicago happening. So this was actually a pretty big weekend. We knew that, okay, we're not only going to get like the European small try-hard tournament where everything is going to be over the top, we're also getting a US tournament with a lot more results. And so we assumed at least that those results would be more in line with what we were thinking the meta was going to be compared to Georgia. I think Georgia was maybe a little bit too new to the format still. People were still testing and so forth, and only a few people had figured stuff out by then. But I think later on, you know, I think it was 1 or 2 weeks later, people really start catching on. So here in Rosemont, we have 3 Gravidia in top 8, which makes sense. In my opinion, if I had to play standard, I would have also picked Gravidia. I think it's not always the best deck, but it has the most unfair random wins and is also extremely consistent and has a big hand, which is something you don't get often in standard. 2 Flagberg, which is kind of like Magnolia's little brother, and then Magnolia lost Inlet, and so now it's the big brother. So Flagberg really strong, Kyrie really strong, Prison really strong, and of course still a Magnolia in there. Magnolia is still decent. This is more in line with what I was expecting, though. I would have maybe liked to see a Nirvana in here as well, because it's also a really strong deck. But overall, this is definitely more in line with what I felt the format would be looking like. Then we had our Rosemont Premium. We had 3 Naru, 2 Aqua, and then 1 Gear Chronicle, which was Steam Maiden, not MFD, Link Joker, okay, and 1 Gold Paladin right here. So this one, again, not completely in line with what I was thinking, but definitely more so than the previous event. At least more than half this pie was something to be expected. You know, your Naru at 3 and your Aqua at 2. Then for your Rosemont top 4, we ended up seeing actually Flagberg win and get second, and only after that a Gravidia and a Kyrie. That's really interesting as well. And then, of course, like I said, Germany, our try-hard city. We have 4 Narukami in top 8, 2 Aqua Force, and 2 Gear Chronicle. Yeah, this is the meta. Like in other pie charts, we were like, oh, and here's like 1 cute tech. Oh, here's 2 cute techs. Not really in line with what we were thinking, but that's normal, you know. Here, not Germany's fuck it. The 3 best decks are Aqua, MFD, Naru. Yeah, that's your top 8. Those 3. Fuck off now. It's absolutely insane. This was a really hard top 8. So yeah, I don't know what to say. We have our 4 Naru, 2 Aqua, 2 Gear Chronicle. These are just the best decks for this format. I don't know what to tell you. And then we have the top 4 of that, of course. First place, Dave again. Dave got those back-to-back wins this weekend. Very strong. Second place, Maxim Solemn. Whoa, that's me. That's me. I got a really cool trophy right here. So I did end up making Worlds that weekend, just not in V. I got it in Premium, which I'm very happy with. So as you can see, the trophy, really happy with that. Really cool achievement. Very happy to go back to Worlds now. So that's not back-to-back, but we also had our whole COVID thingy. But yeah, Worlds invitation for the second time. Very happy with that. It was with Naru of all decks. Me on a red clan. That's right. Then third place was also Naru and in 4th place was MFD. So as you can see, very, very stacked top 4 here. But one thing that we could maybe talk about is, hey, where are the ripples? Yeah, where are the ripples? So even within the team, we had some arguments about this because everyone was pretty ripple pilled, let's say. Everyone was saying Ripple was best deck, and we had figured out a lot of little things with it. There were a lot of cool little plays. Like, a lot of people think Ripple was just, oh, I high roll and I win. That's not really true. Ripple also had like slower games it could play. There were a lot of little lines, but despite those little lines, you could still just get blown out by MFD, and you could still get blown out by another Ripple who did high roll when you didn't, or something along those lines. So the format still felt pretty sack. I decided to go for Naru because I didn't need to high roll ever. If my opponent didn't get ridiculously lucky on MFD or Ripple, I knew I would always win. And I really preferred that stability over, you know, a deck that can really brick quite a bit. Now, I do have to say, I did also know that Naru had some really shit matchups as well. Like, certain matchups for Naru are just garbage. But I was really sure that the entire room knew MFD and Ripple were best deck. So if everyone's on MFD and Ripple and not on the actual awful matchups, then Naru was like an insane pick. So a lot of people then started seeing Naru doing really well and not seeing it on the ban list, started thinking, oh damn, now Naru is gonna be the undisputed best deck, blah blah blah. I'm not so sure about that. I think the fact that the meta was heavy MFD and Ripple actually made Naru a much better pick than it actually is in a vacuum. Now, of course, it's still a really good deck, of course. Like, you're not taking a deck that only counters stuff and isn't good on its own. Of course, it's a good deck. But I think a lot of its results are still fueled by consistently fucking Ripple in the ass, which is something it won't be able to do when Ripple is out of the picture. Then we had our Rosemond V Premium, and yes, Rosemond also has a a similar result to Germany. So where Germany had its 6 Steam Maiden in top 8, Rosemond had 5 of it. Wow. 5 Gear Chronicle, 1 Gold Paladin, 1 Aqua Force, 1 Bermuda. So the Gold and the Aqua, okay, those are to be expected. The Bermuda Lupina is a little bit of a weird one. Still awesome to have made it in. Also interesting, for Rosemond, there weren't that many Steam Maiden players. It's just that the conversion rate was insane. Like, I don't recall the exact numbers, but I think it was like 9% of the room or something, and they still all, like a bunch of them still made it in. Meanwhile, in Germany, Steam Maiden was actually 25% of the room, which is a representation you almost never see. And of course, then also 6 made it in because the deck is just absolutely cracked. So yeah, this is what V Premium looks like right now. It might get even worse once more people start playing it, so enjoy. Oh, then they had to do a little retraction because there was no Tavas in top 8, it was actually 2 Gurgits. Okay, I think the most important part at least is still the yikes teams. So then the top 4 for Rosemond Premium, we had Ripple in 1st place, we had Naru in 2nd, Naru in 3rd, and Ripple in 4th. Albert Huang, member of WCC, also 4th place gang. That was a painful weekend. What the hell? We have 3 people that, you know, within my circle, 1 me, then JJ and Albert, all in that 4th place gang. Very painful. And then for Rosemond V Premium top 4, we had again Steam Maiden winning and Steam Maiden also getting 2nd place. So the only thing that can beat a Steam Maiden, of course, is another Steam Maiden. And then Gurgit in 3rd and Lupina, Lupina in 4th. The 4th place gang with such a cool deck. Very painful. And then we had Spain. I personally didn't attend Spain. Basically, my plan was like, look, I'm gonna try and attend every BCS I can, but if I qualify early, fuck them kids. I'm not gonna go to like hard to reach countries for a BCS if I'm already qualified. So I ended up qualifying in the very first one I attended with Germany, and so of course then I didn't go to Spain. So Spain overall is usually more known for their standard play. Like, there aren't that many premium players as far as I'm aware. So you're gonna also notice that Spain premium was like 80% people from other countries flying in. But top 8 standard first, we have 2 Nirvana, to be expected, 1 Gravidia, 1 Flagberg, 1 Prison, 1 PBO. I see PBO, I see people like hyping it up and saying it's really good now, and I'm like, how? This deck was like absolute dog shit before. What happened? Maybe I'm missing something. Set 5. I don't know. I haven't really followed standard that deeply either. I don't know if PBO is actually that good. Buff Sagra, and then a Zorga. Zorga in top 8. Wow, I'm your biggest fan. But yeah, the rest definitely to be expected. You know, your Nirvana, your Gravidia, Flagberg, Prison, very solid decks. And the first place ended up being the Prison. The second place ended up being the PBO. Whoa, Romain M, very strong. And then third, Romain W. We have 2 Romains, okay. And then fourth, we have Nuno. Ooh, fourth place gang, Nuno. See, the fourth place gang is so stacked. I mean, if you ask me, fourth should go to Worlds as well. So yeah, Nuno with Nirvana getting fourth, very painful. Our world champion for V. And then we had the top 4 for Spain. Now, this one's interesting. Notice something. Do you notice something? We knew best decks, okay, MFD, Ripple, Arads. What happens? What happened is there was virtually no Narukami showing up. I think that people saw Germany, and then the Ripple players started playing anti-Naru cards. Like, they started playing Bell, maybe. They started playing Chloris, maybe. Just anti-Naru cards to try and hurt Naru a little bit. Which, again, is a little bit weird to play, like, cards that are basically bricks just for one matchups in a deck that can't really surge them. But if you're that afraid, okay. But then what happens? No one shows up with Naru in Spain. And then you have this other counter deck, Chaos, which can actually deal pretty decently with Ripple because they can just wipe away all their excels and can be okay into MFD. And they just start taking names, kicking butts. You're gonna see the top 8 of this as well. A bunch of Link Joker, no Naru to be seen, and then a couple Ripple. And of course, MFD getting first place right here. So we have a look here. BCS Spain top 8 premium, 3 Aqua, 3 Link Joker, 1 Gear, and 1 Naru. But the Naru was Vanquisher, so that's a bit different from the Arad that we're used to seeing. But yeah, as you can see, almost no Naru to be seen. A lot of Ripples therefore made it in. And then the Dark Horse right here, 3 Link Joker. That's a lot. And if you were to check out the names as well, these were a lot of people from other countries. Like, I think one of the Ripple players was from the UK. I think both Link Joker 2 Link Joker players were from France. The MFD player is from Sweden or Portugal or somewhere else in EU. Sorry, Slash, I know it's you who won, but I don't know where you're from. So yeah, like a bunch of people basically in Spain Premium were not from Spain itself. Then Spain top 8 V Premium. This was a wild one. We had 2 Gear Chronicle, so only 2 Steam Maiden, 2 Bermuda Triangle, which was a Anj Highlander, 1 Naru, 1 Genesis, 1 Link Joker, and 1... Is that a Nigman? That's a wild one. I have no explanation for this one. But then, of course, if we check the top 4, who ended up winning, it was Steam Maiden, because Steam Maiden is insane. So even if you only have 2 in top 8, of course, your Steam Maiden needs to win. I'm pretty sure every single BCS will be won by Steam Maiden at this point. And then second place, we have Mohammed, a very, very strong player, of course, always topping. Was also part of the Springfest team I was on. So it was Mohammed, Jay, I, and then later on Dave filled in for Jay. Very strong team, Team Cardiff. And Mohammed going to Worlds once again. I think this is like 4th or 5th time, something crazy like that. Mohammed is a beast. Then Nuno getting 3rd place with Vanquisher. So now he can go to Worlds for V Premium. Oh, wait, he already qualified because he's the world champion. So with Vanquisher, though, a very, very brave pick right here. And then 4th place with Anj, the 4th place gang. Next, we have Toronto that just happened this weekend. So we had top 8 for Standard, 2 Nirvana to be expected, 2 Shaman King also to be expected. Actually really strong. This is, I think, the first time that a collab set is actually doing anything in English. This one's really strong. Also, their over trigger is absolutely insane. Like, not only does it just randomly deal a damage, so if it's checked late, it just can auto win the game, as they often do. Then, of course, checking them defensively is already broken. But on top of that, it also has a field wipe effect. What the Why? Like, it feels like the only way to power creep an over trigger is to just print an even better over trigger. It's wild. Then we have 1 Kyrie, 1 Bruce, 1 Prison, 1 Magnolia. Alright, very solid for sure. Magnolia a little weird without the inlet, but still has been taking some results this season, so makes sense. Overall, Shaman King are really strong. Definitely watch out for that in Standard right now. Then if we go to the top 4 for Toronto, we have 1st place David with Kyrie. Then we had 2nd place Prison, 3rd place Magnolia, and 4th place the Nirvana. Then Toronto top 8 V Premium. Really weird one, honestly. Only 2 Steam Maiden, 2 Great Nature, 2 Granblue, 1 Link Joker, and 1 Gold Paladin. This is a top cut for my heart. We have 2 Great Nature and 2 Granblue. That's really cool to see. We have 1st place Kevin Cho. Of course, it's the Cho gang. He's the chosen one. Getting his Worlds invite once again with a clean 1st place. And we have 2nd place Anthony with Leopold. Leopold, pretty good. It's no Steam Maiden, but it's pretty good. 3rd place Chaos Messiah. A lot of people were talking about how this deck counters a bunch of the best decks right now, and it's kind of true. However, Steam Maiden can definitely beat it pretty reliably. There are certain things you can do to get your wins against this deck pretty well, but other decks are definitely hard countered by Chaos, except for generally Nitros. However, we see here that the Chaos ended up beating Nitros, which is really interesting as well. And then we have our top 8 for Premium Toronto. I think Toronto was in try-hard mode, kind of giving me the Germany vibes right here. We have 4 Aqua Force, 2 Narukami, 1 MFD, and 1 Dimension Police. This Dimension Police player is very brave. Made it in despite everything else being, you know, just try-hard format right here. For Aqua, though, is quite a showing, though, given that we have 2 Narus in top 8 as well. And then if we check it out right here, we have first place Ripple, second place Naru. So the Ripple ended up beating the Naru. That happens. It does happen. In my testing, sometimes my Naru would also lose to Ripple, just not very often. Then third place, Stephen Lee. So WCC Suo, of course, qualifying Worlds again. Broken player. I think this is again his 4th or so time in Worlds. I don't know, but he's gone a lot. And then 4th, the MFD, also 4th place gang. Very, very harsh. Honestly, Bushi, at this point, you should let 4th go to Worlds. Like, there is almost no difference between getting 3rd and 4th. Like, let's be real. It's really weird how in Vanguard, you don't have that many events, and then you need to get top 3 in a best of 1, like the whole day. So sometimes you're just gonna get bad luck twice when you've already been doing really well, and then you're 4th and you can't go to Worlds. Like, you basically see it slip from your fingers. It's a very, very iffy system. Of course, ideally, you would give Worlds invites to consistent players, but there's simply not enough events to do that. If you said like, oh, 3 top 8s equals a Worlds invite, it's like, bro, almost no one can even attend that many BCSs, and if it's in different formats, it wouldn't work. So I don't know how they can make it to where consistent results get better incentives, let's say, but at least make 4th go to Worlds, because like, this is just such a painful place in a best of 1. Like, people getting 4th usually are really good. I don't know, just 4th place gang feels really, really painful. And that is basically it. So we've had quite the season so far. Of course, the format is going to change quite a bit now, at least in Premium, because we get that ban list. So not only does MFD and Ripple fall off, your Narukamis now lose the things that they're supposedly, you know, beating pretty reliably. So we'll see if Naru takes up that entire power vacuum, or, you know, now the decks that beat Naru also get better. And there's some other decks also that were being gate kept by both Ripple and MFD. Like decks that got really good on turn 4, for example, just couldn't play because of Ripple and MFD, or things that were piece reliant. Like, you know, if you had to guard with all of your pieces early against these, those also became dog shit. So now that those are gone, I definitely expect a very different looking meta than what people might be expecting, but definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm sorry, V. If you're a V player, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing I can say that will make you feel better. And then standard, overall pretty cool. I do hope to see set 6 pretty soon, because it has felt a little samey, and I'm not even convinced that set 6 will do that much. At least Shaman King, though, you know, is a breath of fresh air. It's pretty strong. Usually I'm not the biggest fan of collab sets being very strong, but overall I think standard could really use some freshness, and so I'm pretty hyped for that overall. Hope you found this interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.